Hello guys. Welcome to my channel, Jura Tempest Federation. In our previous episode we have witnessed the introduction of participant of the martial tournament. If you have not watched previous episode, I will put link in description below. The quick warning, this video contains spoilers from light novel. But before we proceeding further, please like, subscribe to my channel and hit notification bell for further update. Now without further delay, let's proceed further. It was time for the draw. The numbers were as follows: Masayuki number 3, Jinrai number 4, Kai number 5, Gozu number 1, Meza number 2, Lion Mask number 8, Gopta number 6 and Geld number 7. As their numbers were announced, their names began to fill up the list of promotion matches. As a result, Round 1 Gozu vs Meza. Round 2 Chosen Hero Masayuki vs Crazed Wolf Jinrai. Round 3 Splendacious Sword Fighter Kai vs Gopta. Round 4 Geld vs Lion Mask. Those were all of the duel groups. Even though the draw results were definitely fair and square, so I couldn't really complain, Masayuki really was a natural D20. He had already won his first match. In comparison, Geld's luck was the opposite. In the first match, Geld was immediately pitted against that guy, Lion Mask. Would he be able to win? I was very curious. I suppose these matches would be interesting, but I just couldn't make myself feel excited about it. If I really wanted someone to test out Masayuki's ability, this was possibly the worst combination. Since Masayuki's second opponent would be the winner of the first round, even though Meza and Gozu's match may be entertaining, they would probably end up fighting each other so fiercely, they would end up exhausted before the match with Masayuki. There was another reason. The winner of the third and fourth matches would also enter the final. Gopta would face Geld, which meant that they wouldn't be able to test out Masayuki's strength. There was also Lion Mask in their division. If Gozu and Meza's fight was going to be entertaining, so would Geld and Lion Mask's. In my opinion, the two matches would be extraordinary. If Lion Mask really were to get serious, I had no clue either how strong he would be. But Geld was, no doubt, an extremely powerful fighter as well. It was quite bizarre how the two got matched up in the first fight. It was almost as if fate were playing tricks on us. The combination of their matches all worked in Masayuki's favor. But anyhow, there was no use complaining. Putting my predictions aside, there was no way of knowing the result, as of yet. And at that moment, the first round was about to start. Before the first round, the other contestants left the arena to go to the resting lounge. Only Gozu and Meza remained at the center of the stage. Other than a couple of scathing taunts, they merely stared intently at each other. "Boy, Meza, we are supposed to duel each other to determine the stronger one already. Let our long-standing rivalry end today. Prepare to lose." "Cut the bullshit, Gozu. The one who's going to be one of His Majesty Remure's glorious 4 heavenly kings will be me, Meza-sama. You can go and enjoy your retirement in the labyrinth." "Ridiculous. You don't deserve the majestic title of the 4 heavenly kings." With that, the duel between the two suddenly erupted. Both of them being melee type, they clashed with shield and axe, shield and lance. As opposed to magic or sorcery, a purely physical brawl was much more suitable for them. Gozu slammed his great axe into Meza's shield, before Meza sent the force back in a heavy block. As Gozu was about to lose his balance, Meza raised his lance to attack. But Gozu backed away and easily dodged the shot. It had been 20 minutes since the match began, and the two were still going at each other hard. Their strengths seemed to be on par with each other. As expected from a 100-year-long struggle, they still had yet to determine a winner. The blood-boiling battle of the two monsters also kept the audience enraptured and enthusiastic. After all, there hadn't been a lot of opportunities for them to witness monsters of such great strength battling each other. It was understandable. They probably wouldn't have the opportunity to witness another Rank A against Rank A battle for the rest of their entire life. Because the two's power levels were about the same, a victor had yet to be decided. What a fine duel. However, the moment of victory suddenly came without much warning. This is it. Gozu decided to gamble on one move. He threw out his great axe with all his strength in a strike that would surely be able to crush even a boulder. The opponent would certainly crumble if he took on the weapon. Meza's left hand exploded and flew through the air. By sacrificing his left hand, he'd stopped Gozu's great axe. In the wake of this, Meza grinned victoriously. This opportunity was exactly what Meza was looking for. In a blink of an eye, Meza closed in on Gozu. Thinking that Meza would dodge, Gozu had no time to react. Meza had already approached him. The match is settled. Dai, Ma Chao Alto Lance Strike. Ma Chao is the lance-wielding general from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Not sure where Meza learned this Chinese lost art. Meza appeared right in front of Gozu, and suddenly began stabbing his lance into Gozu's chest once, twice. There was no way for him to dodge. A couple of large holes were violently drilled into his torso. Meza would even sacrifice his own left hand to achieve victory. Meza had won. "You're too naive. Thunder horn," someone roared. Gozu thrust his horns towards Meza. His horns were wrapped in lightning, and their length had increased several times over. Their wickedly sharp points were focused on Meza, and tore away at his right eye and arm. That sealed the match. Meza could no longer hold his lance with his right arm mangled. Moreover, Gozer's attack had burned Meza badly through the lightning strike, making even his blood boil. Meza previously gained the extra skill automatic regeneration during his evolution, but even so, the lightning strikes kept spreading faster than his regeneration could amend. In comparison, with the aid of his extra skill ultra speed regeneration, Gozer had the giant hole in his chest and stomach fully healed in an instant. He was the winner. Under normal circumstances, those would have been instantly lethal wounds, but they posed no threat in the face of the extra skill ultra speed regeneration. Meza also had a skill with similar effect, and so his arms and right eyes had begun to heal. By the time Gozer and Meza had left the stage, both had recovered to their original state. "I'll definitely win next time," Meza shouted with determination. How very motivated. However, the match had already ended. Our first winner was Gozer. Having witnessed their incredible fight, the audience gave them their applause and cheers. It was a beautiful duel, a most appropriate appetizer for the early matches. Speaking of which, it just made me realize how broken of a skill ultra speed regeneration was, once again. If following the rules of his previous matches, Meza probably would have won. Normally speaking, his ultra lance strike would have settled the match. But it was Mezer's miscalculation to have not suspected any trickery. I hoped he would be more cautious in deducing his opponent's ace in the hole in the future. The second round began. The fight was between the chosen hero Masayuki and crazed wolf Jinrai. But as I expected, Masayuki won without a fight. The two simply shook hands in the center of the stage. Upon seeing this, people not only applauded, but even cheered out loud. I couldn't understand it. It was just a handshake. How come the crowd got all riled up like that? As expected from Masayuki-sama. Some were even shouting excitedly. His popularity was truly baffling. Never mind. Thinking about it too much was troublesome. Moving on. Round 3. Kai the Splendacious Sword Fighter vs Gata. Well, what would the result of this match be? I was actually looking forward to this still. This man called Kai, he barely looked like a rank A. He was wearing a full set of rare equipment, meaning that he was a top-tier adventurer. On the other hand, all of Gata's own equipment was special ranked and tailored for him. Well, in hindsight, the former seemed to far outmatch the latter, but in terms of strength alone, this would be an interesting duel. Get ready, set, battle. As Saka shouted, the match began. As Kai whispered, "Make haste." Supposedly this is a skill shout, like accelerate. He unsheathed his blade and moved out. What a sharp hit. His reputation as a splendacious sword fighter definitely wasn't just for show. He was quite skilled. However, the sword was stopped by Gata's armor. "Ha! You're nothing but some goon. How dare you wear such unbefitting armor?" Hey, that was way too fast. Since Kai's attack landed practically the instant after Saka started the match, Gata didn't even have time to unsheath his Kodachi. "You were too careless, idiot." I cursed internally. This attack was blocked by armor handcrafted by Garm, but next time he would not be as lucky. He only managed to survive because Kai was overconfident with his abilities, but it was obvious that he would be targeting joints next time. How about this then? Kai sent a series of slashes descending upon Gata, who was barely dodging them, and his face looked rather desperate and exhausted. Judging from his expression, he seemed to be planning to run out of the arena to forfeit himself. He had already given up, only wanting to save his own life. Well, that was indeed the right choice now. I was hoping for him to hold on a bit longer. I had been expecting great things from them, foremost an engaging battle, but Gata's performance left a lot to be desired, disappointingly enough. This match was probably about to end, or so I thought, yet the victor still hadn't been settled after so long. Could it be that Gata wanted to sneak out of bounds, but Kai was chasing him all over the place, not wanting him to escape? Does that guy actually want to murder Gata? It seems that this man has a pretty disgusting character. Even though Gata isn't really upright either, this man's actions are far more unpleasant to watch. Shion seemed to agree with me. With things turning out like this, at this point, I wished Gata would win no matter what. Ahahaha. Keep running like a rat, you piece of trash. In his right hand, Kai held a long sword fit for both single and double-handed combat. On the left, he wore brass knuckles that he used to beat up his opponent. It was a strange fighting style. As soon as he saw an opportunity to strike, he would use both hands to hold his sword and slash, so it was difficult to predict his moves. Gata had only studied formal swordsmanship under Hakuru, and his opponent was definitely giving him a hard time. But even with that being the case, Gata had yet to sustain any fatal wound. He had only been cut once at the start of the match. Gata sure has sharp eyes. If he couldn't see the path of his attack, he wouldn't be able to flee for long. Shion praised Gata. That was my thought exactly. Even though he got punched a few times, Gata managed to block all of Kai's sword strikes with his Kodachi. Alright, Gata, nice job. That's the spirit. Let everyone see what you can do and beat that guy. I'll give you more pocket money. And if you win, I'll give you the new prototype fishing pole that you always wanted. Seriously, then I'll use my ultimate move. If you had an ultimate move, you should have used it earlier. Hearing my verbal support, Gopta seemed to become more motivated. Using items as bait seemed inappropriate, but when facing someone as lazy as Gopta, there was no other way. But honestly, it was because I wasn't putting much expectation on Gopta since we had Gal to hold our ground. But if things went as I expected, I would have to make Gopta work harder. Ahahaha, quit bluffing, you trash. I am the strongest, you stand no chance. Kai laughed maniacally as he chased after Gopta. He had no guard against Gopta whatsoever, believing that he had already won. No matter what Gopta could do, he wasn't capable of turning the tide. Such underestimation of his opponent would become Kai's downfall. Summon. Come to me. Right, Gopta was the captain of the Goblin Rider troops. Of course he could summon Star Wolves. Moreover, he had the ultimate move. Unification with the Star Wolf. His magic heal content would rise to around A, and with Hakure's swordsmanship training to boot, logically speaking, it would be more than sufficient to handle Kai. Then you should have done it from the start, I thought to myself. This guy Gopta, when he first participated, he only wanted to lose. But now Gopta surely would become serious, eh? How strange. Eh? Summon spell I see. But those Deerwolves are no match for me. Kai was interrupted violently as the Dark Wolf summoned by Gopta bolted towards him at ultra-high speed. He had drastically underestimated the threat. The monster summoned by Gopta was no rank C or D monster like a direwolf. The Dark Wolf wagging its tail on the stage, no matter how you looked at it, it was Ranga. Ranga, what are you doing? I didn't expect that. As expected from Ranga, he's got his own game as well. No, there was no way. That's not the point, right? Gopta was surprised too. I figured that he didn't expect this to happen. In other words, it was all Ranga's doing. He purposefully intervened in Gopta's summoning. And I thought he was sleeping silently in my shadow. I didn't expect him to be planning anything like this. I said that I wouldn't allow him to participate, and I thought that Ranga would accept such an arrangement as well. I didn't expect this from him. Saka rushed to Kai and turned to Diablo. He has knocked out contestant Kai. What a great shot. It seems that the victor has been determined. Diablo, the acting referee, obviously took the result for granted, judging the attack just now to be effective. Even though Ranga had disguised himself to look like a smaller wolf, Diablo would be able to see that it was actually Ranga. I guess it was because Diablo and Ranga were on good terms with each other. And the winner is Gopta. That's it for today, guys. See you next one. For further more update, please like, share and subscribe. And do not forget to push notification bell.